we're going to cover here today is the return of authentic masculinity. And if you were watching us yesterday, we were talking about power and presence and warmth and what it means to actually embody authentic masculine power. And one of the things I want to kick this off with is masculinity is not toxic, despite what you hear out there, right? I already know that I'm preaching to the choir. I know that you already know that. But masculinity is not toxic, right? But what I believe is that the absence of true, authentic masculinity is. And you hear all the time like there's toxic masculine, and then the men are like there's toxic feminine. I don't believe that exists. What I believe is there's one thing that exists, and that's unconsciousness. There's unconscious men, there's unconscious women, and that's really what we're up against. So it's not about toxic men, toxic women, they're right, I'm wrong, or I'm right and they're wrong, none of that stuff. But it's about becoming more conscious because what I believe is if you're a real, authentic, conscious man, your masculine power is the greatest gift you could ever give to your partner or lover or your clients or your kids or the people that you serve. So authentic masculine leadership and strength is not domineering, it's not controlling, it's not toxic. It's actually the greatest act of provision or love that you could ever give to your partner, to anybody. And so I'm going to show you how to embody that here today. So we're going to cover something called the King's Compass. It's a really cool name, right? Patent pending. But what this really is, it's the 5 domains of sovereign masculine power that's going to show you, like, hey, if I can master these domains, I become a really solid man, not just in theory, but in practice, right? Because so yesterday we covered the presence of masculinity, but we want to not just cover the presence, but how do you apply that in the real world, in your relationship with your partner, in your business, in the way that you carry yourself? What are the skills? Right? So we're going to cover that here today. So yesterday, just to recap, if you watched the video yesterday or the last video, if you're not watching all in a row, we covered the 3 masculine archetypes. You remember what those are? These are the unhealed masculine archetypes, and they were the nice guy, people pleaser, which is performative warmth, right? It's like performative closeness and connection. There's the alpha or the macho or the high value man, powerful mask, and that's performative power, right? And then the third one is there's the spiritually conscious or the spiritually bypassing mask, which is performative presence. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with being a good man. There's nothing wrong with being a powerful man. There's nothing wrong with being a spiritually conscious man that's into personal development. Does that make sense? But a lot of these people aren't like other men out there. They're not doing this from a place of authenticity. They're doing this from a place of, well, put it this way, right? Some people want to have success, but they want to succeed because they genuinely want to grow. They want to like make progress, right? But some people want to succeed because they want to do what? They want to avoid failure, and they're afraid they're not going to be accepted. Same intention, vastly different reasons why. Does that make sense? So nothing wrong with being a nice person, a good man. Nothing wrong with being powerful. Nothing wrong with being socially conscious, spiritually conscious. But it's the reason why. Are you doing it to avoid something, or are you doing it because you want to actually do that because that's who you are at your core? That's the difference. And so yesterday we cracked open this concept called the it factor. And we talked about how when I was a pro wrestler back in the day, there'd be wrestlers that would show up early, stay late. They'd be in the wrestling business 10, 20, 30, 40 years, never get a shot at the big time. But then some other guy walk right in, main event WrestleMania in the first year. How did that happen? Because it had nothing to do. And what I always heard from these higher ups and the wrestling agents was the best wrestler doesn't always win, but the wrestler that's the most marketable and has the it factor is the wrestler that wins. And that really changed my perception. And that happens with men too. So men, they're great guys. They show up, they're present, they're doing everything, they're providing, they're protecting, and they're not getting the results they want in their relationship or in their job, right? They're getting looked over for promotions. They're not getting the respect they deserve in life. They're not getting the success they really deserve. They're right there, but they're not able to push through that glass ceiling, whatever that is. And so yesterday we cracked open the truth about that. And real masculine embodiment and the it factor is a combination of 3 things coming from an authentic place. It's presence, it's power, and it's warmth. Not from a performance, but authentically. And most men have 1, maybe 2 of those tops, but very few have all 3 integrated. I think it was Albert Einstein. He says, of all the things I've mastered, I have no idea what it means to make a woman happy. They want this, they want that, they want the other thing. They're always changing what they want. Well, let me ask you honestly, if you truly embodied power, presence, warmth, from an authentic place. It had all three of those things. Isn't that what they're really asking for? Does that make sense? So if you stuck with me through the last video, or if you're coming up to speed with this now, you're already outpacing most men, because most men have no idea what we're talking about. But just know that the real growth is never just about one layer, right? That's one layer of the onion. The next challenge is, how do we embody the leadership? So now we understand the presence, but you just can't stand there present. Like, you have to do something, right? You have to have forward momentum. So how do we embody this and turn this into an action? And that's what we're going to cover here today with this video. Now, what most men miss, though, is that masculine energy alone doesn't automatically equal leadership, because presence without direction could be chaos. Things could fall down. There's no leader. Power without alignment could be domination, control, right? Warmth without boundaries could be, emotional collapse, right? You're really a nice guy, but when things get tough, you're really warm, but you're not equipped. Does that make sense? So we just don't want masculine energy. We want masculine leadership. And it's not about control. It's about clarity, consistency, and direction, okay? And so I told you before, I was a pro wrestler. I told you that a moment ago, and even in yesterday's video. It did not work out the way that I wanted it to. And so I got all the way to WWE, and I had a tryout match, and it went really well. I was in my hometown arena. My parents were in the front row. I was in the Providence Civic Center, the Dunkin' Donuts Center, and there's 10,000 people in the audience. It was really like a dream come true, and it went really well. I thought I was getting hired that day. And the head of talent development calls me into the office, and this is the meeting where if this goes well, your career is decided, your fate's made. Right? He's going to hire me or not. And he pulls me in the office. He goes, "Come here, kid. I could hire you today, and you'd be a star." And I'm like, "Here we go. This is awesome." And he goes, "I'm not going to do that." And I was stunned. It was like a gut punch. And I go, "Well, why not, sir?" He goes, "Because you hope that I hire you, but you don't really embody the fact that you deserve to be here. I don't think I can teach you confidence." Right? And as a man, I'm trying to keep a stiff upper lip. I'm like, I'm going to prove you wrong someday, right? But truthfully, it gutted me, because that was my life for 10 years, for a decade. I was trying to put myself into this business, and all of a sudden, I got to the end of the road, and it was a dead end. And truthfully, right, I tried to act strong. I didn't get out of bed for about a week. It was brutal. I lost my identity. I lost my purpose in life, because I wasn't wrestling. I am a wrestler, right? It's my identity. My purpose, that's all I want to do. I lost my environment, my peer group. Everybody that I would hang out with was wrestling people. And every time I would hang out with them, it's like I'm an outsider now, right? So I really kind of came to collapse. But eventually I rebuilt my business. I started a business. I rebuilt my body a little bit. Well, because after wrestling, I kind of let myself go. I got into a new relationship. I got married. Things were going really well. But even though I had everything on paper, I was still leaking energy. And the reason why was because I was reacting. I wasn't really leading. And so what ended up happening was my wife, I told you I was married, she was struggling with a massive addiction. And she was going in and out of rehab, and things weren't going really well. And at the same time, my biggest client in business stops paying me. And I'm on the hook for a massive amount of money now. I got to figure out how to get myself out of this hole, because I had been, it was for advanced stuff, and I was dealing with heavy video equipment. I was a video producer for live events. It's expensive stuff. And not only that, but I was stress eating like crazy. So if you take a look there, well, I can't move the box, right? But actually, I can turn my box off. Let me see. There you go. I was 80 pounds overweight at my worst. That was me at my lowest. So my wife is drinking, going in and out of rehab. I'm in massive debt. My business is collapsing. I'm stress eating like crazy. And the thing is, I wasn't leading. I was reacting. I wasn't responding. I was trying to help my wife, but I was a people pleaser. And I was trying to rescue her rather than lead with, clear conviction and power and ownership. And I thought I could love her through that, right? But it wasn't enough. You think you can love somebody enough that they'll change, but really they have to be the one to want to change. Does that make sense? And eventually I did the hard thing I thought I would never do. I never wanted to abandon anybody, because I was adopted as a child. I never wanted to feel like I abandoned anybody. And when I ended that relationship, I thought my challenges were over. I thought it was like, if I change my environment, my entire world's going to turn around. And it did temporarily. And I got out of that relationship. Eventually I found another relationship, and she's beautiful, and we had alignment in terms of our vision and the things that we were into. We're both into personal growth. But after a short amount of time, that relationship was going down the tubes too. And what I realized is I'm like, well, what's happened? Like my last relationship went to down the drain. This one's about to go down the drain. What's the common denominator here? And I realized it was me. It was how I was showing up. And the crazy thing was, I wasn't responsible for my ex's addiction, but what I wasn't able to see was my own patterns because her addiction was so front and center that that's what was the obvious thing. And it wasn't my fault, right? But when that's so loud, you don't have a chance to really reflect on what's going on, right? That's like the obvious thing. And what wasn't apparent to me was all the places that I was leaking my own energy, that I didn't know what it meant to lead. And very quickly, I'm on the verge of losing this new relationship that I'm in. I'm like, I don't want that to happen. And I realized I have no clue what it means to be a man. I have no clue what it means to be a leader. I have no clue what it means to be masculine, right? There's not a lot of role models for that. There's the books you can read. Some are super nice. Some are all about being this alpha guy. Like, so what do you believe in? I don't know. And then I'm like, I'm swinging pendulums. I'm like, I'm going to be super nice here. Wait, I'm too nice. Let me be more powerful. And maybe you've been there before. It's that pendulum swing I talked about yesterday. And what was happening was, even after rebuilding everything, even after changing my environment, even after trying to be a present good guy in this new relationship, it wasn't enough because I didn't have the map. I didn't know how to lead. I didn't know what that meant. And so what I've realized now is leadership isn't just a mindset. It's not just personal development. It's not just being a socially conscious man. There's a structure to being an authentic masculine leader. And when you realize the structure and you know presence, power, and warmth, and combine that with this structure, this becomes a real authentic grounded man that is like, this is every woman's dream, but it's not that you're doing this to please somebody. This is who you really want to be on the inside. This is what you're really looking for. And so I want to give you the map that I wish I had 10 years ago, because it would make my life way easier. Does that make sense? And it's going to make your life way easier right now. So why am I sharing this with you? Most men are trying to be better men. They read books, they lift weights, they meditate, they grind, they do personal development. They're aware of their patterns, and they're even conscious in a relationship. They're emotionally intelligent, like, I'm going to be here for you. They read the books, No More Mr. Nice Guy, Way of the Superior Man, Be the Calm in the Storm. Meanwhile, she's storming all over you, and you're trying to stand there bracing. You're like, this doesn't feel very good. You know what I'm talking about, right? So men become more aware of their patterns. They become more conscious. They become more emotionally intelligent. But if you're really honest with yourself, something still feels off in your nervous system, doesn't it? And that's your masculine instinct saying, like, hey, something's not right. So why does that happen? Well, I believe that intimate relationships, that's the place that has the most impact on you. But it's the place that few men actually master. You know, we master our work, we master our body, we master our mission, even our finances, right? We have a degree of control over those things, but you can't fully control a relationship with another person. You can only influence it, and you can influence it and maybe co-create it. Does that make sense? So a lot of men don't put a lot of time and energy and effort in there, or don't know how to master it. So they surrender, or they allow it to happen, or they go with the flow, or they do their best, but they don't know how to change it. And it circles the same patterns repeatedly. And a lot of high-performing men, they're stuck because, not because they're lazy or undisciplined, they're super disciplined. They can crush it in all these different areas. But they're stuck because they grow in one domain of life. They feel comfortable in one domain of life, or maybe many, while they're leaking power in their relationship because they don't know how to deal with it. And so their business is thriving, yet their relationship is flatlining. Or they're shredded, but they're emotionally reactive with their girlfriend or spouses or partners' moods, or whenever she criticizes you. Or you're spiritually awake, but sexually and who you are and that energy, that masculine energy, is collapsed. And so these other areas, like, they can only go so far if you don't embody true masculine instinct and polarity and intimacy. And the challenge is the concept of polarity, masculine, feminine energy, leading, providing, protecting. We can all agree with this. They're all nice concepts. We've all heard about them before. But they're rarely explained, aren't they? Except in vague generalities, like, oh, you got to be conscious, be present, be, provide, protect. But what does that mean? Provide and protect what? Finances, money, presence, emotions? What's it mean? I didn't know what that meant for years. I had to figure that out, and there was no map. So if you're in that situation, similar to the way I was, it's not a failure. If you're here, it's because you haven't quit on yourself. You're looking for answers, right? I couldn't find these answers for years. I had to find them myself. It took decades. So that's why I'm so happy you're here, because I can give this to you now finally. But I know you're tired of the grind, and I respect where you're at. And like I said, you don't need more effort. You need to know, first of all, alignment, and you need to know what these areas are. So we don't want you to have a vision but not have a masculine edge. We want you to have both. We don't want you to have a relationship that has love but no passion. We want you to have both. It's not about how hard you work. It's about aligning the inside with the outside, because I'm going to keep saying this. This is so important. Your external world is just a mirror of your internal world, and that's it. So you want to align your internal world. Okay? Now, the problem is everybody tells you as a man, you've got to lead, but no one tells you what that means. Provide, protect, make decisions, be the calm in the storm, be masculine, have polarity, make the decisions. What does it mean? I have no idea. You read one book, be super socially conscious. You read another book, you got to be commanding and domineering and always on, right? You can never share emotions. It's confusing. Like with me, you got to go, you're swinging left, swinging right. The pendulum's going all over the place. I want to take these abstract concepts for you and finally put them into something workable that you can use for the first time, maybe, right? And when you see this, it's going to make a lot of sense. So this is called the King's Compass. This is called the King's Compass here. And it's not a personality test. It's not a to-do list. This is a lens to see where your leadership is going well and maybe where it's not going so well, where you're strong and maybe where you're not so strong. So as we go through this, like I said, as a diagnostic tool, give yourself a ranking of 1 to 10. So take out a piece of paper and rank yourself 1 to 10. And 10 means I've 1,000% got this handled, and this is unconscious competence. And 1 means I've never heard of this before. I have no idea what this is. I can guarantee you I'm super far off in this area. And there's no shame, right? Because when I started, they have this thing called the wheel of life, right? And if I were to put these areas on the wheel of life, so it's like picture a tire and picture a pie chart, and then 1 to 10 on each slice of the pie, you put a line where you think you are. Well, my circle of life, my wheel of life in this category, right, was a dot. It was a 0, because every single area was a 0 out of 0, no exaggeration. So maybe a few of you are where I was. I can almost guarantee none of you are nearly as bad as I was. Like I'm the poster child for failing in all of these areas, right? But whether you have a long way to go or a little way to go, it's a good thing, because now you actually have optics on this. And I was working with a man on this very concept before, and he, when he was introduced to this, he goes, "Wow, I realized I didn't know any of this, and it's not common knowledge." But the next week he goes, "I can see why all of this would work." I started to apply it because now I have a reference for it, and his relationship already started turning around because he just needed that spark, he needed the awareness. Does that make sense? So I'm going to show you what all of these areas are. So the King's Compass, like I said, not a personality test. It's a diagnostic lens. So these are the 5 domains of masculine leadership where if you master this, you've mastered your life in terms of relationship. Does that make sense? So number 1 is emotional leadership. This is your nervous system. It leads the room. It's your ability to respond and not react. They say, one of the greatest quotes I ever heard was, providing and protecting does not mean just providing finances and money and protecting physically. It means providing and protecting safety from your own emotional responses and triggers, and also protecting her from her own unhealed behavior and unconscious behavior. And so this is your ability to regulate your own nervous system under stress, especially when she can't. And that doesn't mean you have to tolerate intolerable behavior. But what that really means is you're able to be there for her emotionally, because sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes you got to talk about her job or her life, or something happened, or there's a loss in the family, or she's stressed out about something. So she wants to know that you can be the shade, like the shade or the oak tree that she can come to. But that doesn't mean she's attacking you. But if she is attacking you, first of all, you take that and you don't react, right? That doesn't mean you take it. Doesn't mean you tolerate it. But it's not going to take you off center. And then you're going to be able to respond to it and then lead her out of that and not react. So this is you regulating your own nervous system and responding, not reacting. So 1 to 10, how good are you at emotional leadership? Where your nervous system leads the room and you're not reacting based on her. You're not tiptoeing based on her. 1 to 10, where are you at now? So number 2 is visionary leadership. This is you leading with clarity and purpose. This is you leading with clarity and purpose. So this is, you know where you're going, you know where the relationship is going, you know where you want to take things, and why. And you also have her enrolled in it. So it's not that you have a plan in your head that she doesn't know about. It's, hey, this is where we're going, this is where I want to take us, this is my intention. It's like your pilot and co-pilot, right? And she's aware of the destination, and she's in this with you. So it's how you show up, it's how you make decisions, where you lead. Some men, though, they don't have this at all, right? They're waiting for their partner to make all the decisions, or to set the vision, or they're reacting. This is reacting, not responding again. Does that make sense? So it's like it's a reactive mode rather than proactive. They're waiting for it to be decided for them. So in terms of visionary leadership, do you have a vision for the relationship? Does she know? Are you moving it towards that? Or are you being reactive? So comment 1 to 10, how well are you leading the vision and the progress of the relationship? So comment that below or put that in your notebook. And then so we got emotional leadership, visionary leadership. Number 3 is logistical leadership. And so this is, how well do you own the physical world and plan ahead? Let me put it this way. If you were single, or if you were going to be like a really high quality man, you'd have to, take care of your own house. You'd have to have a clean place to live. You'd have to, you know what I mean? Like, you'd have to have like dominion over your own energetic space, your office, things like that, right? It would reflect bad on you. If you had clients and you're a high-powered businessman CEO and your office looks terrible and like a tornado hit it, doesn't reflect well on you, right? So logistical leadership is, how do you own the physical world around you? Right? If you're a high quality man, are you paying your bills late? You know what I mean? You're not care. But this is masculine containment and structure in action. So are you creating structure for your life, for the two of you, and for yourself? Are you handling logistics? Are you initiating details before they become issues? Are you being proactive? Or are you always reacting when there's a problem? Or are you waiting for her to tell you? Is she managing you? Does that make sense? A lot of men, right? Because they grow up, most of the teachers are feminine. Obviously, you grew up with your mother. And so we're not used to having to do all of these things sometimes. So like, are you showing up as the logistical leader of the relationship as well? Or are you reacting there? A lot of this sums up in, are you responding or reacting? You're being proactive or reactive? But are you leading the logistics of the relationship? Are you owning your environment? Are you creating structure, handling things? This is the energy of ownership. I've got this handled. This provides safety. Okay, so number 3 is logistical leadership. Comment 1 to 10, or put in the chat or in your own notebook what you are there. And then 4 is energetic leadership. This is polarity. This is creating attraction and spark. This is that silent confidence that you have, that grounded presence, that grounded desire, and that awareness where, she knows that she's wanted. But it's not like this weird thing, or it's not this weird pressure thing, or it's not mopey. You know what I mean? It's inviting. It's playful. There's spontaneity. There's no apology for it. This is like if you have a man that's truly, two people that are partners that are truly in love with each other. This is the genuine outpouring of like, we're just on fire, right? Are you leading that? And you can do that with your energy. So are you creating attraction and spark and spontaneity? Are you creating the fun? Are you having silent confidence? Are you playing? Are you creating polarity, right? Or is it all about pressure and like a covert contract, or a give to get, or a trade, or guilt tripping? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So comment 1 to 10 on that. How well are you embodying that polarity? And by the way, polarity and this spark also requires opposite energies. If you're both in the masculine energy, there's going to be fights. If you're both in the feminine energy, it's going to be very reactive. There's going to be no leadership, right? It requires one of you to be in the poles, and you to have opposite energies, and for it to feel really good for both of you, it's your natural polarity. So that's number 4. And so 1 to 10, where are you at there? And then finally, number 5 is embodied leadership. I also call this like spiritual leadership, but not in terms of religion or anything like that. But I mean, you have a higher purpose, a higher vision for yourself. You have principles, you have a code, right? And it's what you stand for. And you live your values through aligned action. This is actions over words. This is, do your actions match your words? Do they align? Are you congruent? Do you live what you teach? Even when no one's watching, How congruent would it be? How embodied leadership would it be if I was still 80 pounds overweight, still 6 figures in debt, still had a terrible relationship? You know what I mean? It wouldn't be congruent. So do you walk the talk, or only sometimes? Or do you have like they call it like an infield fly rule, where it's usually this, but if it's that, there's a asterisk there. So how embodied are you? Are you congruent truly? And so rank yourself 1 to 10. So again, emotional leadership, visionary leadership, logistical leadership, energetic, polarity-based leadership, and finally embodied leadership. That's your congruence. Rank yourself 1 to 10 in these areas. And be honest with yourself. Right? It's not about performance. Leadership begins with the truth. And so if there might be some of you, and I want to be truly upfront here, that could be a little bit uncomfortable right now. Because maybe you're realizing like, oh, I didn't know this, or I'm lower than I thought, or I'm becoming aware of this for the first time. If there's a little bit of uncomfortability or nerves here, or tension, that's a sign that you're waking up. I remember there was a day at 3 a.m. and a night at 3 a.m. where I realized I was a 0 out of 0 in all these categories. And it was finally allowing that awareness in, that self-awareness in, and being like, okay, well, that's the truth. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to blame people, or are you going to take ownership? And so if you take radical ownership of this, in a very short amount of time, you can turn this around. And you're going to be very, very proud of yourself, right? And so there's no shame in this. It's just self-diagnosis. This is not about fixing you. It's about just facing the truth. So ask yourself honestly, so just ask yourself honestly, what are you currently doing well right now? What are you currently doing well right now? And then name your lowest score, right? So out of all of these areas, where are you most out of sync potentially? What's it costing you to not be higher in that area? What would it take to close the gap? And if you truly mastered this area, what would it provide? So like I said, this is a video that's in a series. And so if you do all of these assignments, right? If you actually do these, I'm going to give you a bonus video, and I'll tell you more about that in a moment. But comment below, like, what area are you currently doing well in? Name the lowest score. That's where you want to work on first. Where are you most out of sync? What's it costing you? And what would it take to close the gap in this area? And if you truly mastered this area, what would it provide for you? And so you don't have to do everything at once. Just name that one area that's most ready to rise right now, and then work on there, because that's where a lot of change can happen. And if you change that, like, it's like a rising tide lifts all ships, or lifts all boats. If you lift one of those areas, the rest of them are going to go with it. Okay? So how do we fix that? That's the $1 million question, isn't it? So how the heck do we fix this thing? Well, let's be honest. You don't need more tools. You don't need more knowledge, right? This is helpful, but what you need is to embody what you already know. Because there's a difference between knowing and embodying, and knowing and doing, isn't there? So you might know that you need to lead with clarity, or hold better boundaries, or initiate better polarity. But it's one of those things where it's, you know what to do, but doing what you know is a little bit difficult. Maybe you go back into old patterns. So if it's not happening automatically, or if it's like pushing a boulder up a hill, it's usually not a strategy problem. It's not like a problem solution awareness problem. There's a problem with your identity. And I shouldn't say a problem with your identity, but what I mean is there's an unconscious pattern holding you back. And so remember we talked about yesterday how if you're not embodying presence, power, and warmth naturally, it's not because you don't want to. I'm sure if you had a choice and could wave a magic wand, you would. But it's because your nervous system is running an old, outdated script and patterns based on trapped emotions and unconscious stories from the past. And these aren't just mindset blocks, are they, right? These are emotional imprints from childhood, from significant emotional events, from past relationships, from failures where your system decided, hey, it's not safe for me to lead. Or if I speak up, I'm going to be punished and put down. Or I have to shrink to be accepted. It's all about like not being abandoned. Am I not going to be good enough? Am I not going to be loved? Am I going to be, some of the two greatest fears, fear of abandonment and fear of your own power, believe it or not. Because if you have your full power, you're afraid you're going to get abandoned. I won't be loved. I won't be enough. Does that make sense? And so the real solution here, the fastest, most permanent way I've ever seen to shift this, isn't to force new habits. As men, we try to do that. We try to bang our head against the wall and force change. It works temporarily, but sometimes you burn out. The real root of this is to release the emotional patterns at the root of what's been blocking you. And when we eliminate the emotional baggage through, like, I call it a VIP transformation, but also there's a mission map I can tell you about where it's like, how do you identify the external block? What's it relating to you internally? What's that saying? What do you have to reclaim about yourself? If you can get to the root cause of what's actually holding you back, something powerful happens. And your nervous system starts to automatically recalibrate. And you stop hesitating and you start leading. And your partner feels you. Your team follows you. People can feel your presence and your energy way more. I've done this process with over 100 men over the past 2 to 3 years. And every single time, right, they come to me, they want to be more powerful, in command of their life, make more money, be more confident in their relationship. In all cases, when you find the thorn that's stuck in their paw and you pull it out, automatically their system aligns, they automatically know what to do. And if they don't, they're willing, there's nothing holding them back anymore, and it's just, oh, I didn't have the strategy yet. Right? But having the strategy with the block means you're going to keep going back to the pattern. But clearing the block and getting the strategy means you're not going to sabotage yourself anymore. Do you follow what I'm saying? So that's what this is all about. We want to clear this at the root, because who you are is just buried under anger, frustration, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, limiting beliefs from the past, significant emotional events. And if we release those, the real you can finally come out automatically. Okay? So I said this is a video in a series. In the next video, I'm going to give you the exact framework that I use inside the breakthrough session, inside the VIP transformation, to eliminate the emotional blocks at the root and rebuild your identity from the inside out. And it's called the 7 levels of self-mastery. It's going to show you exactly why everything you've tried in the past has not worked, even though you're well-intentioned, and even though the stuff is most likely good stuff, and how to fix it permanently instead. Because you've been chasing most likely surface level solutions, or mindset stuff, or habits, or you've been learning more information, but you've been fixing the wrong problem. It's not that those things aren't good, but it's why alignment never lasts long term until you change it at the root. I've worked with some high level people, and I've worked with a top mindset personal development coach, and he's been in the industry for a decade or more, actually. And even he was stuck. And he was banging his head against the wall, but he knew all this stuff, and he was getting his clients results. But he's like, I don't know why I'm still stuck. It's like, physician, heal yourself, but I can't perform brain surgery on myself. And so we found out there were some patterns deep inside of him. He had all the strategies and tools, but he wasn't able to use what he knew. So we found that thorn, we removed it, and he told me, he goes, Jared, all the decade of personal development that I've done up until now I'm able to fully use it. It's not that it wasn't good, it's not that it wasn't useful, but it was knowledge, it was information, but it wasn't transformation. It wasn't embodied. Once he understood that, once he got rid of the pattern, he could use it all instinctively. Does that make sense? So this isn't about bypassing what you've done, but what this is about is like the effort you put in. Now you're not going to sabotage yourself anymore, and it's going to last long term. Does that make sense? So imagine for a moment, right? Take a deep breath in, breathe out, close your eyes. What I want to do, I want to make this really real for you for a moment. So imagine for a moment that you've released all of what's not you. You stop reacting and you start really creating. Imagine your leadership becoming effortless because it's no longer something you're trying to do, but it's based in who you are. What would that feel like, right? And then what would it feel like if you boosted these 5 different domains? These king compass domains. What would happen if you boosted all those domains? What would happen if you boosted just the lowest one right now? How would your partner see you differently? How would you lead with certainty and confidence? How would your partner or people in your life respect you? Because you're living in terms of your vision, your alignment, your leadership. You bring the fun and polarity, right? You have a lightness, you're congruent. And most importantly, it's not about how your partner respects you or how people respect you. That's important too. But imagine looking in the mirror and fully respecting yourself. And how you can sleep at peace with yourself. How other people look at you. How your partner looks at you with desire. How women look at you, or people that you're attracted to look at you as like, wow, that's a really high quality guy. Or how would other men look at you or want to look up to you and follow your lead? How would you walk into the room? And how would you sleep at night knowing that you're fully in alignment with who you really are? And that's not fantasy. That's the reward of removing what no longer serves you, what no longer belongs. So take a deep breath in, come back in the room, Awesome. So welcome back. And like I shared with you before, this video, it's part of a series, and each video builds on the last one. So if you finish all of the videos in this series and all of the assignments, direct message me personally or comment below, hey, I did all the assignments, and I'll check to make sure you did. And if you do that, you're gonna unlock a bonus video, which is how to eliminate all of your conditioning in under 6 hours, okay? So that's gonna be the bonus video. So just do all the assignments here, the last video, the one video coming after this, and we'll send you the bonus video, okay? But until then, here's the assignment. So comment below, number one, what was your biggest takeaway from today? What was your biggest takeaway from today? And number two, what has been your biggest challenge in this area? And tell me, why are you committed to solving it now? So what's your number one takeaway from this video, and what is your biggest challenge in this area, and why are you committed to solving it now? And then if you want, like, bonus, if you're an overachiever like I am, right? You can put this in the chat. You can comment, or at least do this for yourself, so you have the insight. But rate yourself 1 to 10 in each of these King's Compass categories. Drop your highest score and your lowest score in the chat or in your notebook. And then what are you most committed to and why? So journal those questions right there. All right? And that's your assignment. And by the way, I want to give you another free gift. So yesterday, the free gift was the King's Compass PDF, which there's a PDF. You can still ask for that if you want. If you didn't get that already, just comment Compass below, and I'll send you the King Compass PDF as all of these areas outlined, right? But there's another PDF I'd like to give you, and it's the Self-Mastery Blueprint. And that's going to be really useful for the video we do tomorrow, the 7 levels of self-mastery. So this goes into each of these 7 levels of self-mastery in depth. It's going to show you why everything you've been doing up to now hasn't worked, even though you've sincerely been doing it from a good place, and what to shift instead to make the whole thing start to work. So comment Blueprint below. This is going to be really eye-opening for you, and you can use this tomorrow as we go through these different levels. But even as a standalone book, it's really great. So check that out. Comment Blueprint below. We'll give you the 7 levels of self-mastery Blueprint. Or if you missed the Compass, comment Compass, and we'll send you the PDF that covers what we covered here today. Does that make sense? Awesome. So remember, this is why, even while you know what to do, you still repeat the same patterns. That's what we're going to cover tomorrow in the video, and that's what the Self-Mastery Blueprint is all about. And it's going to show you how to solve that, right? So why do you know what to do but not do it? It's going to show you how to solve that, and we're going to cover why just having good information, good knowledge, good skills isn't enough, and the exact steps to take instead to make a permanent, lasting change. So that is it for this video. This is the King's Compass, the 5 domains of masculine leadership that you want to embody. And this is the return of authentic masculinity. Remember, authentic masculine power is not toxic. It's actually, if you come from a place of heart, if you have your heart, your spine, your balls online, you have power, presence, and warmth, your masculine leadership in these 5 areas is actually the greatest gift you can give other people that you're serving, your lover, your partner, your spouse, your clients, your children, anything. So that's it for today. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Get your assignments done. You're going to get the bonus. And I look forward to serving you again. Take care, guys. Bye.